some 66-year-old coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
Data.
Right?
Yeah. So anyways, as a 5-year-old, we were just talking about how unambitious I was until around 25 years old out of necessity. But there were always entrepreneurial signs. You just, as a father now, I'm going to watch because no one really pushed that, right? But it
I
was
don't know if
there.
you should push those, though.
No.
See,
You should watch what they do and then like kind of experiment. Like as a
okay.
parent, I think you need to like experiment a little bit. My
Okay.
parents were young when they had me, so they were too busy like experimenting with their own lives. But anyways, 5 years old, me and my neighbor friend were like, we're
You were
tired of
experimenting with your neighbor? Go on.
yeah. We were like, listen, we're tired of asking them for money to go buy gum and candy from the corner store. Like, let's do something. And I dug up roly polies in the yard and I put a sign that said pet sale. And I went on the sidewalk, and it was a busy sidewalk in Santa Monica. And people were walking by. They're like, pets? What pets do you guys have? And I got a jar of dirt. And I was like, there's like 20 roly polies in here. Dude, people gave me money. People were like, I don't even want the jar. Just here's $5.
Damn.
And as a 5-year-old with $5 in the late 80s, you are doing very well. Probably was the equivalent of Darshan Kulkarni today.
I would say you're a baller, but I don't even know how to respond to that. So
Chuck
sure.
Dollar, 20-inch blades on the Impala. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay. Drop comments if you do. Listen, Guru Nation. There's been a plot twist to Doge. I wanted to get your take on this.
Okay.
Amy Gleason is running the whole thing.
Yeah.
Patient advocate, mother of rare disease daughter.
Yep, saw that.
She's been fighting for this for the last decade and a half. They didn't just put her in charge of the healthcare Doge. No. They put her in charge of the entire Doge. Like, she's the admin. She is the executor of Elon's wild ideas.
Uh-huh.
Do you think I
think it's irrelevant, quite honestly. I don't think she's been hired because of her background as a patient advocate.
But that's like basically all she's been doing. Like, is in the
No, you just said it's all of Doge. So I don't know what the impact of that's going to be on the energy sector.
Right. I have no clue, but I don't know why they picked her.
Well, I don't know either. And that's what worries me. I think there's lack of transparency on why you're picking these people. Like, what makes Vince McMahon's wife qualified to run something? I don't know.
Run education. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about her, but I was a huge fan of WWF as a kid.
Me too. But I think she'd be great if we had the WWE Army of the U.S. Yeah, she should be in charge of that. I'll give you that. But I don't know what this has to do with education. What qualifies her? I don't even know if she's educated.
Well, I mean, I don't know. If you're a co-founder of $1 billion enterprise, like, you're educated, I think.
No, you're not.
You may not be formally educated, but you're educated.
Yeah, but you're evaluating for but School of Hard Knocks shouldn't be looking at the school. I think maybe there's a whole argument to be made for how should entrepreneurship be encouraged, and I think she'd be incredible at it.
Maybe that's what they're doing.
She's regulating the School of Hard Knocks, which
maybe that's what they're trying to do.
But you see, you're trying to give a lot more credibility to something that there's no evidence that's what the idea is.
Right. Well, the current educational system is kind of garbage, no? Like, wealthy parents go to private school because it's like not really good.
Here's the thing. I was talking to a friend of mine about this. And I don't have kids, so I'm incredibly unqualified.
You go to India all the time, right? Like a 15-year-old in India versus a 15-year-old high school kid in the U.S.
What about it?
Compare them on math, science, any subject.
Very, very different people. Very, very different people. I was a 15-year-old in India. I grew up in India.
Okay.
So I had access to resources as a kid that most people wouldn't. So I have a very different feel. I had better resources than in the US and in India. On the other hand, I was also the kid going, in India, they expect you to memorize. I'm not asking you to understand. I'm not asking you to evaluate. I'm just asking you, can you tell me? And I remember this, like, to this day, it's been 30 years. I'm going to recite the first couple of sections from Julius Caesar. Hence, home, you idle creatures, get you home. Is this a holiday? What know you not, being mechanical? You ought not walk upon a laboring day without a sign of your profession. Speak what trade art thou? Answer me directly. And I can keep going. That's Julius Caesar. That's what I was expected to memorize.
Have you ever used that in a courtroom?
It's purely show-offing. But
Do you
But
think
the
there's
point was,
value in that?
I'm sorry?
Do you think there's any value in that?
Absolutely none.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
it gave me certain structure that I can now base. So for me, what was really valuable is getting those basics done. I feel like the US spends a lot of time with its students going, do you understand? And that's a really interesting, I think that's why you get a lot of innovation from the US, because it goes to, do you understand? The problem is you lose a lot of people because they don't have the basics right. You then get to like college and grad school, and the students who come into college and grad school, their fundamentals aren't ready, but now you're sort of taking them and going, let's think about the next level. How do you use this? And the US does an incredible job with that, and India does a piss poor job with that.
But do you
So
think that do you attribute the innovation in the US to the educational system? Or do you attribute it to like the
the
least
educational system,
regulatory burden in the
I
world?
well, I think that definitely helps, but I think that and I don't know if it's the least regulatory burden. I can think of countries
Well,
that
maybe
have.
now it's catching up, but or it was, but
Yeah, no,
for a
I
while it
think
was.
I think with the US, what it lets you do is if your entire education has been, what do you think critically, change what you're thinking, while the other entire world is going, memorize.
Mhm.
You're taught to challenge the
Yeah.
status quo. And that's an interesting perspective. I feel like most people forget how valuable that is. But that's also
Yeah.
why people in the US tend to be generally unhappy with how the government is, because you spend your entire life challenging the status quo. On the
Yeah.
other hand, in India, adhere is like the big thing. How do you fit into society? You get less sort of pushback. And that's not saying good or bad about each one, but I'm more commenting to the innovation spirit that goes with the US. Europe is just weird to me right now because Europe is just full of regulations. And even they're going that they're overburdened with regulations.
Mhm.
So, but to the point I was making, I think educationally, um, I feel like the US has certain advantages. I feel like we need to focus on strengthening our fundamentals. To your point, though, I will say so. Going back to Linda McMahon,
Yeah, I
I don't
just
think
asked
she's
AI
qualified for that.
why. Well, I asked Grok 3 why was Linda McMahon picked for Department of Education, and I will just summarize it because it's very long.
Yeah,
But her business experience, her alignment with she's a fierce advocate for parents' rights
yeah,
and
none of that's
emphasized
relevant.
her
Yeah.
America First Policy Institute and America First Works, where she pushed for universal school choice in 12 states. This aligns with Trump's agenda to expand school choice, including voucher program and decentralize education by returning authority to the states, potentially even
What?
dismantling the
Hold on, hold
department.
on, hold on. Let's stop for a second there.
Yeah.
What knowledge does she have about returning authority to the states?
Where she pushed for universal school choice in 12 states. And this aligns with Trump's agenda to expand school choice,
See,
including voucher programs.
to me, that it's like she has a pet project. And I'm not saying as a mom, I'm sure she does have a pet project, but that doesn't qualify you to look at the entire educational system. And
Yeah.
to me, that's what worries me.
Her limited direct education experience, serving on the Connecticut State Board of Education for 1 year and a trustee for Sacred Heart University, has been cited by Trump as evidence of her deep understanding of education and business. Critics, however, question her qualifications, like you, pointing to her sparse education specific resume and arguing that her nomination reflects Trump's preference for loyalists over subject matter experts. In short, she was chosen for her allegiance to Trump, her business leadership, and her alignment with his vision to reshape education by prioritizing parental control, school choice, and state authority over federal bureaucracy.
You notice none of that actually answers the question of why she's actually qualified.
Right, yeah, I didn't ask why she's qualified. I asked why she was selected by Trump.
What I would hope that those answers sort of meet somewhere.
I think they don't, and I think that's where people are like when you get someone so radical as Trump,
Yeah.
right? Like,
And I'm good with radical. There's nothing wrong with radical, but it has to be based on something.
but the
So,
status quo, well, most Americans voted that the status quo was not satisfactory.
sure, I'll give you that.
So what Trump is saying is if it's not satisfactory and we want radical change,
No, see that's where I disagree.
yeah,
I think they don't want status quo, but no one said let's go diametrically opposite. We don't. We think our healthcare system can be better. Well,
yeah,
let's just completely blow up vaccines.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
not
that's
what anyone
crazy.
signed up for.
That's crazy because, like, as a parent now, I'm very much interested in
Yeah,
this vaccine
yeah,
stuff, and
yeah.
I understand pushback on some of the
Sure,
vaccines, like Hep B for a newborn. No, we could delay it, but I'm not anti-vaccine. We're gonna get all those vaccines. It's just we got to look into, and I understand the government has to kind of pick a timeline because they assume most
sure.
people are not going to do
Right.
the due diligence, which is kind of a presumptuous ideology to begin with. Like, the people don't really know, so we have to think for them. And that's where I start to branch away from bureaucracy. Like, well, it's true. The majority of the people don't want to do their own research. But does that mean you have to be a nanny state for everyone? And I don't know what the answer actually is, but I feel like in the past it's gone too far in the nanny department.
See, it's interesting. You say nanny. I go. So I was having this conversation with someone else. She's actually a healthcare lawyer, and that podcast is going to come out pretty soon. And we were talking about how she and she's all about like empowering the patient. I started laughing, and she's like, "Well, we're now empowering the patient to make decisions for themselves." Blah blah blah. And I go, yeah, every time someone uses the word empowered, I know I'm about to get screwed. And I don't know
It's
why.
about to be some bullshit.
Um, in this case, it was like, I think it was Hims and Hers bought one of the tech solutions out there. And she's like, look, we're now going to empower the patient to do their own lab test. I don't want to do my own lab test. Don't empower me. I don't need this empowerment. Just do the lab test and pay for them, my insurance company. What's
Right.
really happening is I'm going to screw you. You pay for your own lab test. How is that empowerment?
Right.
In the same way, you're going, oh, I'm empowering the patient's empowered to do their own research. I have 2 doctors. I can assure you I'm not qualified to evaluate every single thing there is to know about.
Right.
No,
We do need guidelines. We need,
right, exactly. That's my point.
and it's not like anyone's forced necessarily. Like, I
Right.
was able to delay our
Yeah.
Hep B vaccine, right, for a little one. We're gonna do it, but just
Yeah.
not on the first day he's born.
Yeah.
We did the vitamin K, all the other stuff they recommended, which thankfully they did because
Yeah.
you're not always gonna be in the mode of like, let's research what
Yeah.
we need to do like at every second. And you go to your pediatrician or your GP, and hopefully they've been educated on, what's important and what's not. But the pushback has been from the other side, well, it's been a little too like coerced, and I don't know where that line is, but it seems like the administration's going the other way. Now, RFK had to disclose he owned a bunch of CRISPR stocks. So he's not anti-science, anti-research, anti-R&D
Well, he's doing
at
all of
all.
them, isn't he? Now,
He owned a bunch of
but did he
CRISPR
own the
stock.
stock or did he own the option?
I don't know.
Do
But
you know why there's a difference?
yeah, because with the option you could short it.
Exactly. So you
No,
could be betting it's
that
going
would
to
have
drop.
that would have came out. That if that were true, that would have been all over the headlines. I think he actually owned long CRISPR stocks.
Okay, so let's assume he did. Like I don't
Yeah,
know. I
I
don't
would
follow.
assume he did because if not, the media would have killed him over that. Like, we would have heard about that already.
But we did hear about it because Warren called him out on it because she said he's like, I will not own any. I think it was like any drug company. I will not go work for the drug company. She's like, there are 2 ways to make money. Do you promise not to make any money off of anyone who actually makes money off of the drug companies, i.e., your law firm? He's like, I'm not making those promises.
Right.
So
Right.
the fact is that there is more than one way to skin the cat, and he is very comfortable skinning the cat the other way.
But he did have his money where his mouth is with
Did he
owning
though?
the stocks. Yeah.
So I'm in favor
The
of anyone who
gene,
wants
the
to
gene
encourage
editing
innovation.
community went crazy over it. And they research things like nuts. So
I'm
I
in the
follow
gene
a bunch
editing
of them.
community.
Huh?
I'm in the gene editing community. I'm not sure anyone went
But like
crazy.
investors, stock
Yeah.
investors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they were going crazy on Twitter about it. Like, this is why you need to
Have you
invest in
seen the stock market?
Intellia.
Have you seen the
Stock
stock
market's
market?
poor. Yeah, I just
Exactly.
bought some earlier. This is the alpha you gotta pay. The price, like when it goes down, this is the alpha you gotta pay. You gotta be convicted in the stocks you're going though. Yeah,
I'm
Warren
trying to
is worth
follow Mark.
67 million and never did anything for it. Mark, shout out to you, man. You've been such a good commenter. Yeah, the states do suck too. I know. Everyone sucks. We have had qualified individuals, and they've all
But
been terrible.
are they terrible because
See,
they suck?
Mark, I thank you, man. We need to set Darshan straight. Like, listen, they've all been terrible.
Yeah, but are they terrible because there are only going? If you look at it something from a one perspective, it'll always look terrible, or because they were actually terrible. Terrible is a perspective. Terrible is not an objective definition.
Their metrics are so. Let's use my recent. Let's use like hospitals.
Ask Grok. Do me a favor. Ask Grok.
Okay.
In the last 10 years, what have been improvements in the educational system? So phrase it as that. And the reason I'm phrasing it as that is because it's all in the perspective of how you ask the question.
Okay. And the educational, let's see, it's reasoning. Over the last decade, from roughly 2015 to 25, the U.S. educational system has seen several notable improvements. Integration of technology and digital learning, focused on social emotional learning, like empathy, stress management, expansion of school choice and voucher programs, which I guess that one Trump is for. Improvements in early childhood education, so pre-kindergarten. Recovery and acceleration post-pandemic. 190 billion in COVID relief funds. Bird innovations like high dosage tutoring. Okay. And shift towards. Huh?
My point is, I think you're reading them out for me, but I really need to go to the depth of it. But the point being, if you ask it, is it good? It'll tell you all the reasons it's good. Now, Mark may absolutely be correct in his perspective that it sucks. But if you ask the same Grok 3 why it sucks, it'll give you 10 reasons it sucks. It's all about what perspective you come from.
But I think ultimately what it boils down to, and I've been told by a commenter on YouTube yesterday, not to get too political, but it's hard. It's hard. Forget Grok, forget AI, forget all this. You yourself, what do you notice when you go in your community and you send your kids to school and kids are getting shanked and kids are getting like raped in the bathrooms? Like, this was in Anaheim school district.
I don't know much. Is Anaheim a good school district?
No, but neither are places in every metro area. Like,
no, so I'm not disagreeing that that's true. My point is that's not the truth for every place. The place itself is dangerous. Like I assume I don't know if I've been to Anaheim, but my point would be,
and that's like a moderate. That's like a middle of the road.
Is it? I don't know if
it's not like the ghetto. It's like
it's not the ghetto. Okay,
but it's not like Newport Beach. But it's.
Oh, Newport Beach is bad. I always thought it was like
Newport Beach is good. Newport Beach is good, but they have drug problems and stuff too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Point is, the bar is set so low. Like, let's just not kill kids while they're here. But countries like India and Europe are, well, not Europe anymore, but they're all surpassing us as far as like STEM, what they're actually learning in school.
Depends on the definition of surpassing. I think that they're producing a lot more people in STEM, for example. But let me ask you a question. If you think STEM's so great, why didn't you do it?
I did do STEM. I was molecular cellular biology.
Okay. How about Chris?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what Chris's major was. He was at University of Washington.
No, my point is, a lot of people are not STEM because they don't want to be STEM. Like just in India, people are STEM because you're told that's the only way you're going to survive.
Right.
It's a fear-based thing. It's
my parents too. They're immigrants. Same thing.
Right, exactly.
Like, you have to be doctor or lawyer.
Exactly. No one said lawyer to me. I'm like bucking the trend.
Well, you did both just to be extra safe.
Exactly. It comes from a place of fear. It doesn't come from a place of, I'm interested in STEM.
I don't know what we're getting at other than, well, we started with Doge, and I do want to get into some other stuff.
Yeah.
The point is, the country was not headed in the right direction, and it's debatable if it actually is anymore, but at least the budget's getting balanced to some extent, or at least we have the chance to balance the budget now within 4 years.
So here's my thing. I think that the goal, I think, is very laudable. The idea that we're going to drop the budget. I think you and I had a podcast on this a little bit ago, and we agreed that the method he's using is probably not the greatest, and just this indiscriminate way people are being laid off. And I think there's something about the way the Trump administration is doing it. I both admire it and I'm terrified of it. I admire it in that, look, we're going to eliminate, we're going to cut the budget down. No one's ever looked at this, and this is awesome. So I have to admire it. Having said that, I think people's lives are being disrupted. People are like CDRH. We just fired everyone. Then we went, oh shit, we need people. come back in. And he's done that, I think, at a few other agencies.
But they said, shit, we need people to come back like the next day.
Yeah, but people are going, if I can't trust my job, what's the point?
Well, you shouldn't trust. I don't think people should trust their jobs. I'm on YouTube almost every day saying that.
Okay, but here's the thing. If you go to government, we all know government underpays. We've always known that.
Yeah.
But the reason
Mark says unions are the reason.
Well, we're going to have a whole discussion about unions.
Yeah. Mark, I like you, Mark.
The reason people go to government is they go, I'll take a pay cut. It's often 1/3 of what private payers pay.
Right, but they go because it's supposed to be cozy, stable.
Exactly. Now you're taking that cozy stableness away. Right. Who's going to go work in government? Now you're going to have the shittiest of the shittiest working in government.
Well, there is something to be said about constraints in the private sector. Constraints lead to innovations. And if you
what constraints are you referring to here, though?
So generally, what I've noticed is smaller companies can do more with less than bigger ones can with, and that's because of constraints. Like,
no, I'm agreeing with you there.
What do you think? 20, yeah, we don't need 20 meetings to decide a simple thing. Like, we just do it. So maybe there's a decentralization at play with making government more nimble, making government
that's your argument. I'm not saying that the government won't survive this. I'm not saying that at all.
Okay.
I'm saying that the government that survives this may not be staffed by the best and the brightest, because they're going to go there. There is no upside for me. You tell me.
Or maybe they will be by the best and the brightest. Because
why would you choose the government?
So if you can go from 20 people on a team to 7, but pay them all more.
But you're not going to pay them more.
Well, how do you know? They didn't say that.
There's no evidence. Has Trump come out? Has any part of his policy that's trying to decrease cost gone, I will pay people more?
No, but like Musk, for example, pays. Well, Musk pays slightly less than fair.
Yeah, exactly.
For the most part.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm not sure of how that's going to work, but let's see.
Look, we're in it. There's no way around it. My point is,
but your job is not safe no matter where you go. Government, private.
Your job was safe in government until this administration. And again, I'm not dissing.
And maybe it was too safe.
Maybe it was too safe, and that's a fair decision to make. And I think there's a really good argument to be made that over 2 years or over a year, this would have been a good thing, even to say we're going to lay people off. I want you guys to know this. This is how we're going to look at your team. You're going to have 60 days notice, whatever it is that you might not 60 days, but like longer notice that you might be terminated. But outside like clinical research, the industry is going through some serious, like a serious recession.
Dude, it started from last year, like early last year.
Exactly. Now you're going to overwhelm it with even more people.
Yeah.
So what happened?
And that's nothing to be said about global outsourcing.
No.
Or about AI, which are other headwinds against
right.
domestic employees. Things are not going to get easy. Government was like the only safe haven for a while.
Right.
Especially under Democratic leadership. It's like,
And I imagine that the Democrats will rehire a lot of these people back or make it safer. But I think people will know that my job may not be safe in government. That was the guarantee I was given, and that guarantee is not something I can trust anymore.
Right.
So I think that the idea is that what we get out of government is going to be interesting going forward, because there are going to be people who still come to government going, I want to make a difference, and I'll take the pay cut because I want to make a difference. And I think that's awesome.
That was the NIH mentality, right, or motto?
Yeah, CDC, NIH, even FDA,
PhD docs living on the line of poverty.
Yeah.
Really?
Exactly. But one of the things I remember is that for years before this, there was a whole argument about, people shouldn't leave government and work in private industry because you're sort of regulating the same people.
Regulatory capture, yeah.
Exactly, regulatory capture.
But not all government workers are regulators. Like, that's the majority are not.
But those are the ones you're worried about, right?
No, you're worried about the ones directly involved with policing the laws, not people just working for a department.
No, I know, but you're not worried about those people. So what we're really talking about are the regulators.
Right.
So, but those are the people that industry wants to talk to because they're going.
I mean, we're worried about the Faucis of the world. He's not on the poverty line. right? He was doing well.
Was he though? How well was
He was
Fauci doing?
well.
I asked Grok, what is
Okay.
Fauci's net worth?
Like,
And
we're worried
let's be clear,
about
no one
when we
knows.
talk about regulatory capture. I wrote an article on this.
No, but
We're not
type
talking
ask Grok,
about
because I don't
okay.
think I think Fauci's just a regular government employee. Like, there's not that much to him.
What was Fauci's salary and net worth?
Yeah, there you go. Well, not right now. I'm not sure there's salary, but yeah.
No, was.
Oh, there you go.
In 2019, his cash compensation was $417,000,
Okay,
making him the highest paid federal employee at the time, out earning even the president.
sure.
By 2020, it rose to 434 in his final year of government service.
Okay.
It reached 480,000. His wife,
Okay,
Christy
so
Grady.
pause that for a second there. Someone with Fauci's perspective. Let's just take a TV celebrity. They're making millions. My point is, to be in that role in government, he didn't make those millions. He took a position that I think there's a bigger thing I want to do. And those Fauci's of the world are going to go, I'm not going to be part of this. The headaches, the hatred.
Right. So arguing the nobility of this or not is not
Sure,
really
sure.
the point. The point
Okay,
is
got it.
regulatory capture. People are afraid. What was
But
the guy who left Pfizer?
Scott Gottlieb, you're thinking of.
Yeah, there you go. That's both of our boy. We follow him on X.
I like
and
Scott, actually. I think he's a
He's
smart
very
guy.
quiet. He doesn't talk too much, just on CNBC here and there, like
Okay.
some talking points. But we're worried about people like him. Like, hey, I'm gonna be on the board of Pfizer. Then I'm gonna go to the FDA. Then I'm gonna come back and be on your board.
Okay,
Like,
hold on for a second. Why is that a bad thing?
because it's implied that, hey, I come with, when you hire me to be on my board,
Mm-hmm.
and you and I both know those are very good
Lucrative,
positions.
sure.
Yeah, lucrative. I come with my Rolodex.
Sure.
I come with some influence,
Okay.
a good amount.
Okay.
Let's not advertise it, but wink, wink, like, we can get shit done.
But that's also why you're on multiple boards.
Right, but I'm not a regulator.
So your point is you shouldn't be a regulator, but the point is it's the same argument I hear about we don't want to hire KOLs. We want to hire KOLs. Well, they're KOLs because they're the best in the world at what they do. If you want the best in the world, you're gonna have to pay best in the world prices.
If you ask monitors about KOLs being the best in the world, you're gonna get different answers.
Absolutely, but the point again, best in the world. You are, for example, if you're in rare disease states, right?
It's influence. Is what
no, it's not just influence; it's also knowledge. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. If you are taking care of 50% of all the patients with this rare disease state drug, you are the KOL for that rare disease state drug. And if you're going to come up with the next drug in that, I need that doctor to be part of my studies.
Sure.
Now you would argue that, he's going to get paid too much for it. Yeah, because he's the best in the world at what he does.
Right. No one has issues with that.
But now that same doctor is now in charge of
the FDA. Meritocracy. But yeah, but that's where you start getting into some potential conflicts of interest.
No, the perceptive conflicts of interest. Potential is fair, but it's a perception. It's not an actual conflict of interest.
Right.
So as long as you go, I recognize that there's a potential for a conflict of interest. I recognize that conflict of interest may be completely in my mind. Not that there's an actual conflict, but that he could do something. You weigh his opinions in that light and call him out for it. And I think that's fair to call someone out for it. But that's the extent of it. If you say, I'm not going to allow you to do that, that's when you have a problem. The solution is not, let's bring Linda McMahon and put her in charge of education.
That's like let's see how it works. I
guess we have no choice, but
it can't get any worse.
No, I think it can. I think we literally saw measles. We've never seen measles.
Yeah, we've never seen measles. That's crazy. I was telling my wife about that because our newborn's too young to get that. But so we're careful now. Like, hey, let's not. And we're on a border town.
Yeah.
So measles is coming from south of the border.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they're coming. In Texas, it started in Texas. Right. Coming from the south of the border.
Oh, I thought Mexico has really good campaigns for that as well. I don't know, honestly.
They don't have campaigns, like people do it, but a lot of people don't because they
really? I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, they have. People should go down there and see how things are. During COVID, you know how a lot of Americans here are skeptical of the vaccine, which they should, but skeptical, I don't know, let's make a YouTube video about whether we should get it or not. In Mexico, they're they thought it was a conspiracy theory to keep people from getting it. they were like, no, I need to go find how to get this vaccine because
Right.
they don't want me to get
Right.
it.
Exactly.
Completely different mindset. So that taught me a lot. But listen, Darshan, saying that regulatory capture is not a thing
No, I'm
is a
saying it
little
is.
crazy.
No. I'm not saying regulatory capture is not a thing. I'm saying that the risk of regulatory capture
Mm,
is that these regulators should not be allowed to go work somewhere that they were regulating, but now we're
okay.
going to underpay them so that they have no choice but to go work for somewhere that they're regulating, and then we're going to
So
stop them from doing that as well.
we're a little bit behind. Well, we're a little bit past the YouTube censorship days. I almost had my channel removed just for having a few doctors on.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah,
Because
I
you
was
were
freaking out at that time. Like, what? How? And then someone was sniping my channel and going like years ago
what is
and
sniping?
looking at every single video and seeing what's like could potentially be misinformation and just like reading peer
What is
reviewed
that kind of
journals.
time?
So anyway, let me ask you this, 'cause I
Hmm.
don't think I'm getting at risk anymore.
Okay.
Fauci's relations with Moderna and
Yeah,
his
I don't know what
role.
relationships are with Moderna, but yeah,
Well, we can ask Rock if you want.
sure, if you want, but yeah.
Okay.
But what's the point? What's the question?
I want to ask like what your thoughts are on like as a from a ethical perspective, from a legal perspective, conflicts of interest. We always
Well, but he's
are
not
quick to
working
point out.
for them right now, right? He
Not
hasn't worked.
now, during the height of the pandemic. Okay,
Okay, tell me what those relationships were. I don't really. I can't
let's
comment
get it
about
clear
conflict.
here with Grok.
And let's assume Grok is right, just to be clear. So,
Sure,
um,
sure. What are potential conflicts? Just to go through, because like 4 years ago, we couldn't have this discussion. You were like, even questioning this, you were like, no. You're like, what do you mean you're anti-science? And this is the argument by intimidation
well, there was a court case on this,
concept.
by the way. Yeah, there was a court case on this. Did you know
Right.
that?
So,
Yeah.
I'm sure there were, yeah.
And the
Okay, NIAID scientists worked with Moderna to co-develop the mRNA vaccine
sure
starting well before the pandemic. The NIH and Moderna signed a collaborative agreement in December
happens
19.
all day, every day. Go on.
Right,
Yeah.
of
Uh-huh.
course. Just
Yeah.
before the virus emerged, focusing on mRNA technology, blah, blah, blah. This partnership leveraged NIAID's prior research on mRNA and on MERS,
Mhm.
funding and support. While NIAID didn't directly fund Moderna's initial development, the Biomedical Advancement Research and Development Authority (BARDA), another federal entity, provided Moderna with nearly $1 billion in 2020 for manufacturing and trials.
Well, they had no
NI,
choice. But yeah.
NIAID's role was more scientific than financial, though it facilitated Moderna's rapid progress under Operation Warp Speed, where Fauci was a key public figure. As a leading voice during the pandemic, Fauci frequently endorsed the Moderna vaccine safety and efficacy, notably in 2020 when he said he wasn't particularly concerned about its novel mRNA technology during its phase 3 trials. His visibility tied him closely to Moderna's success. Potential conflicts, institutional ties, and royalties. The NIH, including NIAID, holds intellectual property rights related to Moderna's vaccine spike protein design. Reports suggest NIH scientists receive royalty payments from Moderna with estimates of $400 million in total royalties paid between 2020 and 23. Fauci, as director, didn't personally receive these royalties. Federal law directs such payments to the
Right.
agency or its scientists, but
Right.
critics argue his leadership role created an indirect benefit as NIAID's prestige and budget grew with the vaccine's success. Fauci has denied
Pushing.
personal financial strikes. No public records show him owning Moderna stock.
So, so I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah,
He
Operation
didn't.
Warp Speed, Fauci's prominent role, which prioritized the vaccine, raised questions about impartiality, lack of
Yeah, that's
transparency.
paranoia.
Fauci's contract status as a federal employee exempted him from disclosing personal financial interests beyond his salary. This opacity fueled speculation, especially since Moderna's valuation soared to $30 billion. Conspiracy theories debunked by fact checkers falsely claim Fauci was Moderna's first CEO or had ties to Bill Gates and others. Counterpoint, Fauci's defenders argue his Moderna ties were standard government industry collaboration.
Right.
A tangential concern involves NIAID's funding of EcoHealth Alliance, which worked with the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Critics like Rand Paul allege this research, potentially linked to COVID-19 origins, created a conflict. If NIH-backed work contributed to the pandemic, Fauci might have pushed vaccines like Moderna's to mitigate fallout. Fauci has denied funding gain-of-function research. So, conclusion: Fauci's relationship with Moderna was professional and institutional. Potential conflicts stem from NIH financial stake in the vaccine, Fauci's leadership of NIAID, and his public role in promoting it.
Let me summarize what you just said.
Yeah,
he had no money coming from Moderna in any direction.
Right.
He didn't benefit from it in any way. So
to me, this seems like a Sunshine Act thing where an institution gets paid for a study, and they attribute it all to the doctor.
Right.
Like in the public court of public opinion,
right,
you're guilty.
Correct.
And so in the case of Fauci, yeah, but like someone like him could still have regulatory influence when joining.
I don't know what point you're making. I lost you somewhere.
Regulatory, having like him jumping on board to board. He's retired.
So you're saying now what if he goes and works for Moderna? Is that your point?
Or someone like him, like Scott Gottlieb is like a perfect example.
So let's take Scott Gottlieb.
Yeah.
Would you agree that Scott is, even before, like I used to follow you and I followed Scott.
He's a beast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If he's a beast well before he came to the FDA.
Right. He deserves any compensation he can get.
Correct.
Yeah. He's a one of one. He's a one of one.
Him working for the FDA was a coup for the FDA, not for Scott. I mean, Scott obviously benefits from it, but it's a coup for the FDA getting the one of one.
Sure.
If that's true, and so he took a pay cut to do what he did, because he could have had board positions doing pay.
And they're making the same arguments for Elon right now too, being on Doge.
So I'm not disagreeing with that part of it, right?
I know. I'm agreeing.
Yeah. No, I think that's my point. I think we're saying the same thing, which is people who are taking a pay cut to do what they're doing, they're not doing it because.
Well, they're saying they're doing it for public benefit, right?
I think there's even a better argument. I think Elon, there's a difference.
The same people criticizing Elon should be criticizing Scott, and not.
There's a difference. There's one big difference.
Vice versa too.
There's one big difference.
Yeah.
I think if Elon was an employee, I would have 100% agree. The big difference for me with Elon is he's going and telling Ukraine, I won't give you Starlink. He's going and he's telling Verizon, I think it's
Starlink is though, no? Starlink is his.
But that's my point. So he may not be benefiting directly from the pay loss. So I would say that's true for Trump. I think Trump actually lands up losing money doing what he's doing. But Elon lands up gaining money because of what he's doing. Because
there's a potential conflict of interest with
a significant conflict of interest at a financial perspective. So I think Apple just announced
hypocrisy with people being okay with Gottlieb but not okay with Elon, and vice versa.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I think there's a distinction. Gottlieb couldn't make money anywhere else because he'd be an employee for those companies. Elon's case, that's not true. Elon is making money while being
be on the board and
while at the FDA. No.
Or being a consultant?
Correct. He could not.
None of that. But shortly after.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But that's like Trump. He can go back to being a billionaire after. Absolutely.
Right.
But during, he can go and say, oh, I'm going to decide which
building. And the only reason with Musk is because Doge is not an official government.
Doge, he's not an official government employee.
I see. But Doge is an official department now.
Correct. Because they
instituted that. Okay.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. They took an existing department and renamed it.
Correct. Yeah. He's a presidential advisor, I think, is what I heard. And he's allowed up to 180 days of something. Like Trump.
This pod is for truth seekers only. Your feelings will be hurt. What do you think about this comment I received when I talked about this was on my YouTube.
Okay.
When I talked about Doge and the new patient-centric Amy Gleason.
Yeah.
I got a comment which basically said I basically said like, and there's too much fear porn. Morning, Ashley. There's too much fear porn out here. Like the person that Doge, they're not anti-science. The person that's running Doge is actually a rare disease patient advocate. That doesn't make sense if they're anti-science, anti-research.
But just because and the anti-vaxxers are also saying that I'm a patient advocate, that doesn't make them qualified to run the NIH or run the FDA.
Right, but there's a difference between a rare disease patient advocate and an anti-vaxxing patient.
Why? I'm not saying that there isn't. I'm saying they're both unqualified. I'm not saying that they're bad people. I'm just saying.
Sure. Well, Amy Gleason's worked to push things like having one portal for all your records,
Great. I'm
making
all
tech
for that.
like streamlining tech
I'm
in order
100% in favor of that. But my point is,
increasing funding to rare disease research. Like she's been pro all that.
so to me, those would be the people I go, I love what you're doing. And I want you to run a section that does this so that we can implement these things. But that doesn't qualify them to run the entire organization.
Run Doge. Yeah.
Run Doge, exactly.
Well, who should decide who's qualified and who's not? Ultimately, it boils down to the president.
No. So I'll get, for better or for worse,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, Musk is actually qualified. I don't really like Musk's methods, but he's actually qualified to do it.
Okay. Yeah, he has some cringe moments to say.
Yeah. But I mean,
and so does Trump, by the way. So does Trump.
I know.
I have many problems with many of the things they're doing. Number one of them is immigration. It's very close to my heart.
Yeah.
And it's the tactics, really. It's like it comes across as lacking empathy. And
I think Musk, for better or for worse, is autistic in some way. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. I don't think he feels emotions the same way some other people
he doesn't. But Trump too. And Trump doesn't have autism or anywhere on the spectrum.
I have a different take on Trump. I feel like,
if anything, he's like a narcissist.
Yeah, but again, I don't have a problem with narcissism or autism. My point would be,
well, yeah,
can you do it? Like surgeons are known to be psychopaths.
Yeah.
So yeah, and maybe I just want.
Helen says some, a lot more than some. Yeah, I agree. But this is the what is this? It's called the intimidation argument, where you point out a moral flaw in someone's character,
right,
in order to avoid the actual policy that they're in.
Right, exactly. That's why I don't argue over.
So when they say, "Oh, well, Trump's a rapist," and that means if you're pro his policies, you're pro rape.
Which to me, that's a ridiculous statement.
Yeah, but
you can be for a policy and anti the person or anti the
act. But people fight with these arguments.
Yeah, to me that's stupid. I don't have those discussions.
Well, it's stupid, but it's what the weapons that people are using.
Yeah, I agree with that. And quite honestly, I see Democrats do that more often than I've seen Republicans. But to be fair, I live in a Democrat stronghold, so everything I see
Democrats. Republicans do it on the if they do, it's like on the conspiracy side. Like,
oh yeah, Republicans are hardcore conspiracists. So yeah, to me,
well,
that's why I don't argue.
There's a fringe of them that are, and there's a fringe of the Democrats that use intimidation tactics to argue.
Yeah, and that's crazy people too. I think I've had a discussion, like I don't know if you have ever told you this, or at least may not have told you on this thing, but I literally had a neighbor who was a
you told me.
Did I tell you this one
personally, but not to Guru Nation.
Yeah, so my point, but we don't have to make it a Guru Nation thing. So people are people. Some people are just idiots and assholes. And it is what it is. What are you gonna do?
Maybe we could have just started and ended the podcast with that.
I think we did.
We didn't even get into your fraud of the Stanford coordinator. That
we can.
Dude, what surprised me about that is she's going to jail, 10 years prison.
I didn't read it yet. I just put that out when I saw it.
I don't understand how. I mean, maybe because it was Stanford and it's federal. You're getting into federal funds and stuff.
Oh, dude, have you not? Oh, dude, do you not know about ORI?
Because if it's private research, right? Like, unless your fraud impacts public safety somehow, right?
Dude, hold on.
Civil.
Have I not introduced you to the gold mine that is ORI?
I think you brought it up before. Wasn't that guy from Phoenix that during the opioid days?
No. Hold on. I'm
that guy wrote a book and you had him on your pod too. What happened to that guy?
Oh, I have him. He's around.
What's he doing?
He's a good guy. He's
on the board of Moderna now, or what? Or
no, he's actually going through the justice system right now.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's on an IRB.
He is not.
He's reviewing the next protocol.
He's trying to make up for the mistakes he's made.
Right. So maybe WCG or Advara. Maybe it's
here. Can you see my screen?
No. Oh, let me put it up.
This is
Helen Russo. I love the passion. Case summary.
This is from the Office of Research Integrity. This was from Harvard. Engaged in research misconduct by intentionally, knowingly falsifying, fabricating, or plagiarizing data.
But is that only with federal funds, or is it private funds too?
Do they mention funds? Supported by, yeah.
So I think that's why this coordinator got in trouble, because it was Stanford and it was federal grants and stuff.
But this is federal grants. That's what I'm saying.
Right. That's why she's going to prison. Because if this was just Pfizer private money or like a small biotech, you're not going to prison. You're getting sued your ass off, but you're not going to prison.
Well, these guys aren't going to prison either, as far as I know.
But that coordinator from that.
No, I know what you're saying. I'm wondering why it's different is what I'm saying.
I think
wonder
it's the
why
federal funds. I think it has to do with
But
that.
this is also federal funds, so that can't be the only reason. It's got to be a lot more egregious.
Okay.
Include the question research was included in.
Well, shit, if you don't know, how am I gonna? I'm just a podcaster.
So am I.
No,
hold on, let me see if I can find.
You're board certified. Yeah, you have a law.
I'm a college professor. We have established that I am just a college professor.
An elitist.
An adjunct college professor. Here's the thing you're talking about.
Justice.
I know, right?
What a fitting. That should be the thumbnail for this podcast.
It is a thumbnail for the patch.
This is like the third person from Stanford getting in trouble for research fraud in the last year.
Yeah.
Well, Stanford.
The Justice Department has said that they're targeting research fraud right now. Right. So she was assigned this Velvet study from Genentech for metastatic cancer, terminated her access in oh, damn. This was 2013.
Ooh, that was a bad year for me.
Oh, that's not good. See, that's a problem.
That evening, Mangi logged into the study database without authorization, replacing patient medical. Yeah, this was what the coordinator did too. Or is this the same one? Yeah, this is the one.
The same one. This is the one I was talking about. Yeah. But what I find fascinating is this was settled. This came out basically today or yesterday. And this is from 2013. That's how long
they've been like Donnie Brascoing her since then. Like they had like wires on her and like.
Well, you don't need wires and stuff. You have evidence.
I watched too many mafia movies, but like there were like snitches in there. Like, hey, we're gonna
storyline going to it.
Yeah. Is that how this works?
You don't need to go that far. They have pretty clear evidence here. You have 2 counts of intentional damage to a protected computer.
New idea. Let's make a movie about this. Let's take this story and make.
Oh, she's not going to jail. That's what it is. She's facing up to 10 years.
Yeah, facing. But I mean, they're gonna throw the book at her if they've been following her. 12
Sounds
years?
like the first time she did it.
They've been following her for 12 years. You don't think they're getting ROI on that?
ROI. No, I don't think they're gonna send her to 10 years. I'd be surprised if she gets more than 5. I'd be surprised.
That's still bad. I mean,
no, I'm not saying it's not, but it's not good what she did either, right?
Right. It was like vengeful.
Yeah, exactly.
But why was she still working there that long?
No, so she got fired, and as a result, I guess she kind of temporarily lost her mind. And
well, maybe they'll plea like insanity, and you might end up in a California facility for the criminally insane. Is an insane place to be. Pardon the use of insane twice.
Here.
You need my Uncle Vito.
Oh, here we go.
Young
research
Vito,
coordinator.
Voice of the young people.
This is the big one for significant patient events. Okay, fine. Assigned to Genentech for the Velvet study. Terminated. Attempt to revoke access, but they didn't. So this is like 101 when you're firing someone, like stop their access.
Right. Even I did that.
Right.
And I'm a 1 of 5.
No, you're a 1 of 1. You're a 1 of 1. You're like Gottlieb in clinical trial sites.
Oh man, don't compare me to him. I mean, shout out to Scott. He's a 1 of 1. I don't personally have a problem with him, the person. I have a problem with that. The fact that that's somehow allowed.
Is your point. Yeah.
And like, I'm even okay if it's allowed. I'm a libertarian.
Why would you do this? Look at this. By entering false information on personal insults.
Yeah, I saw that. I read your thing yesterday, man.
No, but that wasn't in the thing I sent out.
Yes, it was. It was on LinkedIn.
Oh, I guess it did have personal insults.
I clicked it and I read it. It said that.
Right.
I just didn't bring it up because there's so much else. Like, but yeah, she probably answered queries and said like, "Fuck my boss," and like just dumb shit like that. I mean, this person's clearly unhinged.
But that's the thing. I think. What do you do? And it probably was temporary, right? Like she probably went home and did, I made a huge mistake, but let's deal with it.
No, not if you're truly insane. You're not. You believe the world is out to get you, and you're doing
56. I guess she was 56 at that time.
Could be pre-Alzheimer's. I mean,
at 56.
Yes, I've done early onset dementia studies with 45.
Early onset for a reason. It's early.
45-year-olds, yeah. Mental illness is, I got a lot of it in my family. I got a
Really?
lot of experience, just non-professional. And then
Wow.
on top of it, tons of professional. We do psych study. Today I'm doing 3 bipolar rating scales
Damn.
remotely. Yeah, we're about this life, man.
I
If
I
any
didn't
company
realize you
needs
were.
me on their board of directors, and if the FDA wants to hire me, I don't know, I'll push papers around.
You'll do the job of 14 people, literally, because 14 people will be fired.
Dude, I'll go in there chilling, and I'll be one of the most productive people. They'll be like, "Whoa, what? This is not allowed, man. Calm down. You're making us look bad."
Oh, I didn't realize Helen was like commenting on the third person from Stanford getting in trouble.
Yeah, I put it up, and then
Is that good for? I didn't see any of that because I was
you need
sharing my
my
screen.
Uncle Vito.
That's awesome.
I mean,
Okay.
Darshan, it's always fun, man. Like, there's not too many people you can have honest conversations with, and
I love being here.
I've always known the truth is always somewhere in the middle. Like, especially when you have two extreme, polar opposite
Exactly. The thing is, they aren't even that polar
conflicts.
opposite. They just choose to be on the other side. I don't even know
Well,
if they believe half the shit they say.
there's this really good book called How to Lie with Statistics,
Oh yeah.
and both sides do it
Oh yeah.
all the time.
Exactly.
But if
Exactly.
AI is good for anything, it's for deciphering this. Like Grok just did it. It said, well, it's there. It's not saying Fauci maybe was not compromised, but it shows there's no real evidence of it.
Right.
But
Right.
there's potential, and here's where it might be, but we don't know. I
Right.
think to me that's fair. And it
Right.
does address both sides, kind of like both sides. There's a potential,
Right.
but then the other side says, yeah, but there's no proof. Okay,
Right.
well, that's the truth. The truth is not, I'm on this camp, I'm on this
Right.
camp, fuck you.
What I really want is a freaking news channel, and I wish this is
This
what
is
Trump could
ours.
do.
This is what we do, man. Let's do it.
I think podcasts can be the only place this happens where you don't go, here's my position on it, here's my opinion on it, here are the facts. You decide
Yeah.
what the hell you want from it. These are the
Yeah.
dry facts.
Well, Governor Newsom's having a podcast. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that
He
actually.
needs to get reelected in 26. So he came out on Twitter and said, I will debate my enemies. I will debate with my friends. But if he's going to bring on someone
I
and
want
they
Uncle Vito
school
to come
him,
on.
we're live. None of this getting edited. But he comes on, it's pre-recorded. Somebody comes on, let's say he schools him or she
Yeah, yeah,
schools him.
yeah.
He's editing that shit out. He's not even putting that episode up.
Well, unless he puts it live as well.
He's not gonna go live. I mean, he's capable though. He is capable.
Yeah,
That dude is
you
rude.
gotta be a baller. I think was it Rogan? Who's no? Jon Stewart said that Elon Musk offered to come on as long as it's live, and Stewart goes, "I want it to be live, so that's good for us." So I hope they do it. That'd be fun. That'd be a good conversation.
Yeah, but Stewart's kind of irrelevant.
Is he though? I don't know. I still
Who's
like
good? Like,
hearing him.
who's the Joe Rogan of the Democrat or the left?
I don't think there is, but I don't follow those podcasts in the
Maybe
same way.
Newsom's trying. That's a good philosophical question. Why is there not a Joe Rogan of the left? Is it because they don't like to talk so much, or are they hiding something,
I
or
I think it
what?
came from the last several years. You've seen, for better or for worse, outside Fox, you had the mainstream media really being more pro the Democrats. So where does that news come from? Well, citizen journalists, which is podcasting. But now everyone's kind of going, I don't trust traditional media in the same way, and there are no podcasts to fill that hole in the same way. Like you've got the I forget which one who was Kamala went on. She went
The girl one
She's My
with
Daddy
the
or something like that.
yeah. Barstool affiliate.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
I don't think of them. I've never listened to her podcast.
No,
Oh, you know what? I would argue maybe what's the one with
Young Turks.
Jason Bateman and the three comedians. They just interview celebrities.
Yeah. There's also the Young Turks, which has been
I haven't heard that one.
for a while very left leaning.
Is it okay? Yeah.
Although even they turned against Biden.
To me, the Biden thing is a huge problem. The idea that you would just hide the president is not with it for multiple years.
Lack of transparency.
Yeah.
So I think there's two things happening here. There's on one side you have complete lack of transparency. Just forget it.
Yeah.
Let government get bigger. Okay, some money's gonna go here and there. That's fine. Like, let's just, at the end of the day, we're still serving the people. Collectivism,
Yeah.
maybe. And on the other side, it's like, well, we don't trust any of this shit. But how do we get it? How do we get attention?
Right.
Conspiracy kind of are not right.
Correct.
And
Correct.
I don't know what that source is, other than talking to people like you and just regular conversations with people.
Yeah.
I think Joe Rogan is that, or was that for many people, but now lately he's been accused of going too far down the. But he's always been that way, not
I think that's
apolitical.
just being who he is.
Yeah,
I think the only worry I have for someone like a Joe Rogan is the moment you get only one viewpoint thrown at you all the time,
yeah.
you start believing that viewpoint.
Well,
What I
he
like about
tried to get
Joe.
Kamala on, and she
No,
didn't
I
want.
know he did. That's not what I mean, though.
Yeah,
I would argue that Joe Rogan at some point became a very conservative, like friendly person. So a lot of the conservatives came on there.
yeah,
Now, for better or for worse, you hear that same viewpoint 50 times. You start going, okay, maybe there's some truth in this, and he starts going down that path a little bit more, which
yeah,
means more of the conservatives start coming to him. Now,
yeah.
I don't think he's not going to let Democrats come on, but your viewpoint has shifted just because of who you're hanging out with often
Right.
enough. So I think that's
No,
the
he's
only thing
had
that happened.
Dems on. He's invited Kamala, and she
No, I
said
know. Come on,
no.
that story is legendary.
Yeah,
But I would argue that I would love to see a Joe Rogan, Jon Stewart podcast
you
because I
love
feel
Jon
like
Stewart, huh?
no, it's more. I think he's left leaning, and I think Joe
Is he your
Rogan is
neighbor?
right leaning. No, he's not my neighbor.
Because I know you live amongst the elites.
You know what? I don't need this.
You're going to Princeton right now, right? Is that where
I
you're
am
going?
going to Princeton right now. Princeton's like that, not that far away at all. I think Candace is definitely left leaning. Sorry, right leaning.
Right. Well, left leaning. I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't follow her enough. I think. Listen, I think these independent journalists have to do what they can to stand out, so they get
Yeah.
sensationalized,
Right. Exactly.
and then
You
their
need
fans take a little bit and say, "Well, listen, look what they're saying," and then
Right.
sometimes they have to come back and correct it, but they also have to appeal to their fan base, so they can't completely disown them. So then they become anchored to these wild theories. When Candace Owens is extremely high
So look at
IQ.
the next one.
Yeah, Matt says these two things can go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Nut job and extremely high IQ,
Absolutely.
articulate and all that stuff. Like, and an interesting pod, right?
Sir,
I don't follow her that much, but I've
I
seen
don't
some
follow
of her
her
stuff.
if she shows up on my YouTube. I do need to run because I'm
Hey,
going to
you're
be
going to
late for my
Princeton,
appointment at
man.
Princeton.
You're going
Exactly.
to Princeton. You're going to go discuss regulatory capture with some elitists, right?
I'm meeting a lawyer friend, but
Exactly.
it's
That's
just
code.
lunch.
That's code
It's
for.
just lunch.
Yeah, that's also just code for what. Yes. She's articulate. I debate high IQ. A full-on grifter, though. Probably. I don't know enough about her financial situations, but grifter, maybe. There's a lot of grifters out there these days. A
I don't
lot.
even. Yeah, I'm not going to comment on grifter because I feel like grifter has a very bad connotation.
Well, of
But
course, it's never used in a good way.
well, grifter
People
could also
probably say
suggest.
we're grifters.
Oh, absolutely. I wish I was a grifter. I'd
I
take
wish I
grifter
was a
if I could
grifter
take
too. I wish I was a grifter. Instead, I got to do 3 rating scales later today.
it.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm working
Anyway,
in the clinic, guys. All right, Darshan, go
thank
to
you, sir.
Princeton and go meet with your lawyer friends and just have lunch. I have no further questions, Your Honor. Bye bye.
Thanks.